Hey there, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the 3 most scenic drives you can do around the island of Ireland. Number 1 on my list for the most scenic drives is the Causeway coastal route. You may have heard of the Giant's Causeway, which is up in Northern Ireland on the North Antrim coast, but the Causeway coast driving route links Derry to Belfast and can be taken in either direction along this beautiful coastal drive. The full route is about 200 miles or 300 kilometers. And we recommend taking a minimum of 2 to 3 full days to really enjoy everything it has to offer. The best things about this drive is that it takes in at least 10 to 12 of some of the absolute highlights of the Northern Ireland coast. If you're starting this drive in Belfast, make sure not to miss the Titanic Quarter and its incredible museum. And once you start heading north out of the city, the first attraction is Carrickfergus Castle. The castle was actually the backdrop for Castle Black in the Game of Thrones series, which seems a waste considering its beautiful coastal setting on the edge of Belfast Lough. The next stop worth visiting is the Gobbins Cliff Path, which is actually over 100 years old and is a really cool walk down on the cliffs just above the water surface. It has several suspended walkways and bridges and provides a really breathtaking way to take in the Antrim coastline. As you make your way further north along the coast, be sure to check out Glenarm Castle, which is a beautiful stately home built by the first Earl of Antrim in 1636. Next up, if you're a real outdoor fanatic, is Glenariff Forest Park. The walk takes in some spectacular waterfalls and streams, and you can do up to a 9-kilometer circular loop around the forest park. It's definitely a local favourite for those people who like to hike. Next up is the seaside town of Cushendall, which has a great little beach to walk on and some stunning views of the hills behind the town. Just 10 minutes further north from Cushendall is Cushendun, which has a famous set of caves and a beach, which is actually one of the Game of Thrones filming locations. One of the most picturesque but lesser known spots just further on from Cushendall and Cushendun is Murlough Bay. It's a little slice of paradise, especially on a sunny day, and definitely a favourite for all you Instagram lovers. It was actually used several times in Game of Thrones filming, and you can see why. Just 15 minutes northwest of Murlough Bay are the Fairhead Cliffs, which are absolutely spectacular. The unique shape of the cliffs look absolutely out of this world, and again, it's another favourite Game of Thrones filming spot. This is the spot where Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen meet for the first time. There are several marked paths if you want to hike around the cliffs, but be very careful as a lot of the paths are close to the cliff edge. Not strictly on the Causeway coastal route, but very close by, just off the coast, is Rathlin Island. The island is steeped in history, not least because it's linked with Robert the Bruce, who is said to have sheltered here in 1306 before returning to Scotland and making his bid for the Scottish crown. The island has some incredible scenery, a seabird centre, and another highlight are its 2 lighthouses. Next up along the route as we go west is Kinbane Castle. The setting of this castle is like something out of a fantasy novel, perched right out on the edge of a rocky outcrop. For all you photographers and Instagram lovers, this is another must-do. Not much is left of the castle, but that only adds to its mystique. So a 10-minute drive away from Kinbane Castle is the world-famous Carrickfergus rope bridge. This has become a real tourist favourite, especially in the summer months when the weather is good, and you can see why. The first rope bridge was erected all the way back in the mid-1700s, so that local fishermen could get out onto the little island for better fishing spots. Its setting is truly jaw-dropping. Definitely one to put on your bucket lists. Just around the corner from the rope bridge is the little town of Ballintoy and its stunning little harbour. You might recognise the harbour especially, again from Game of Thrones, as a setting for a lot of the Iron Island scenes. The harbour actually sits at the eastern edge of White Park Bay Beach, which is absolutely perfect for a walk, or if you're brave enough, a swim. Next up is undoubtedly Northern Ireland's most famous natural landmark, the Giant's Causeway. It's so called because the famous Irish mythological figure, Finn McCool, is said to have built this causeway of stone across the North Channel so he could fight a nearby Scottish giant. There is something truly unique about the thousands of interlocking basalt columns that stick out of the ocean, and it's added to by the beautiful rock faces and cliffs that surround the causeway. The Giant's Causeway has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since the 1980s and is in fact Northern Ireland's only UNESCO World Heritage Site. Less than a half an hour drive inland from the Giant's Causeway is the village of Bushmills, with the world famous Bushmills distillery. The distillery is worth taking a tour if you're a whiskey lover, but the nearby village itself is also so quaint. Further west along the coast is Dunluce Castle,
which we believe should also be a UNESCO World Heritage Site, just because of how unique its setting is right out on the coast. You can explore the castle ruins yourself, or you can take a guided tour, but make sure you snap as many shots as possible. Nearby is the busy seaside town of Portrush. You might know of it because of its world famous golf course, but its natural landscape is not to be missed either. Make sure you take a walk along White Rocks Beach and make sure to check out the beautiful white limestone cliffs, sea caves and sea arches just nearby. One of the final must-see attractions on the Causeway coastal route is Mussenden Temple. The structure sits perched on a cliff top right along the edge of a stunning beach. This is another one for you photo lovers, as it is so unique to see a Roman-inspired temple sitting right here in the green Northern Irish landscape. The temple itself was built in the late 1700s as a library for the nearby estate house, but now it definitely attracts visitors all on its own. So that brings us to Derry City, which is the final stop on the Causeway coastal route. Make sure not to miss its Peace Bridge, the city walls, and the museum which recounts the city's turbulent history. As for accommodation along the route, we recommend checking out our partner, Irish Landmark Trust. They are a charitable organisation that has renovated over 35 unique historic properties around Northern and Southern Ireland as self-catering getaways. On the Causeway coast, you have the 3 Blackhead Lighthouse Keepers' houses near Carrickfergus Castle, the Barbican Gate Lodge in Glenarm, Maharan Temple Lodge near the Carrick-a-Reed Rope Bridge, and the Old Corn Mill and Drum Gate Lodge in the village of Bushmills. We recommend them all as truly special places to stay along this wonderful route.
So the second amazing scenic drive on my list is up in Donegal, which is the northernmost county in the Republic of Ireland, and the drive itself is called the Inishowen 100. 100 in the name signifies that this is a 100-mile round-trip route, so about 160 kilometres for those of you who use metric, and it follows around the most northerly part of the island of Ireland.
The first stop and the jewel of the Inishowen 100 is the Greenan of Islach. This incredible hill fort sits high on the Greenan mountain and overlooks the surrounding countryside. It is thought to have been built sometime in the 6th or 7th century AD by the Northern Neil clan, one of Ireland's earliest medieval dynasties. It was thought to be the seat of the Kingdom of Islach and is one of the royal sites of Gaelic Ireland. As the power of the Kingdom of Islach waned by the 12th century, much of its territory was lost, and much of the fort was destroyed before restoration work began as early as 1870. The site shows evidence of being used as a hill fort as far back as potentially the Bronze or Iron Age, and when visiting you can feel every single piece of that history. After leaving the Greenan of Islach, head northeast along the coastline of the Inishowen Peninsula towards Inishowen Head Lighthouse and Struve Beach. The beach and the surrounding dunes are a perfect place for a walk, and you have to snap some shots of the lighthouse itself. Just a short drive northwest of Struve Beach and the lighthouse is the incredible Kinnago Bay. On a sunny day, the beach will be very busy, but it's definitely worth the visit, and it looks like something you might see in the Mediterranean, the Aegean, or further afield. As you can probably tell by now, Donegal is a beach fanatic's dream, and that's because next up is Culdaff Beach. Perfect place for a swim, the views are incredible, and the quality of the water itself is top class. The next major stop on this route is Malin Head, which is Ireland's most northerly point, and it is well worth visiting. The views of the nearby headlands and the cliffs themselves are really spectacular. The incredible landscape just stretches out as far as the eye can see. After leaving Malin Head, you're heading south on the western side of the peninsula, and you'll come to Five Finger Strand and the nearby Knockamanny viewpoint. We swear these pictures aren't photoshopped, but look at the colours of the sand, the sea, and the green coastline all around. This is the place we would recommend for a great beach walk, but make sure you don't swim, as there are dangerous rip currents. For a really unique experience nearby, we recommend a family business up near the viewpoint called Wild Alpaca Way. They have now over 40 alpacas, and you can walk with them in this beautiful landscape. One of the cool nearby cultural attractions is Dua Famine Village, which gives an insight into the plight of many people on the north and west coasts of Ireland during the Great Famine in the 1840s. Just further south from the Famine Village is the incredible Pullen Strand. This 2.5 kilometre long beach is just incredible on a sunny day, and is another testament to the insane quality of Donegal's beaches. This wouldn't look out of place in the Caribbean. Definitely worth doing is taking a brief detour inland to Glenevan Waterfall. The stunning waterfall and picturesque woodland trail is perfect for a picnic, Further south, one of the highlights of the Inishowen 100, especially for all you keen drivers out there, is Mamore Gap. This mountain road twists and turns in the beautiful Uris Hills, and there are several places along the way which you have to stop and take pictures of the amazing views. Also, if you're a hiker, it's one of the great starting spots for 2 different loop walks. On the other side of Mamore Gap, make sure to check out Fort Dunree. The fort itself looks incredible and was originally built to protect the entrance to the nearby Lough Swilly during the Napoleonic Wars. It was used by the British in World War I, and later, upon the creation of the Irish Free State in 1921, became one of the strategically important treaty forts. So the museum located in the fort today is well worth a visit, over and above the amazing views.
Third on my list, and probably one of my favourites, is the Burren Scenic Loop, located in County Clare on the west coast of Ireland.
Despite the huge amount of tourists that visit the Cliffs of Moher and the west coast of Ireland every year, the Burren can still be missed out on some of your travel itineraries. There's just something so unique about the sparse, grey limestone landscape as you drive around. The drive itself is located about 25 kilometres northeast of Cliffs of Moher and can be done in less than 3 hours. So if you've hired a car to visit the Cliffs of Moher, this is the perfect thing to start or finish your day with and get a true taste of the Burren landscape. A lot of people visiting the Burren and the Clare coast often start from Galway, so really the best place to start this loop drive is the lovely coastal village of Ballyvaughan. Make sure to take some snaps of the nearby castle ruin, and then we're off south on the road to our first stop. So the first place to check out is the Ailwee Caves. These are some of the oldest caves in Ireland, stretching back over 300 million years. This is one of the best ways to get up close and personal with the limestone that makes up the Burren landscape. Further south from Ailwee Caves is probably our favourite spot in the whole route, Poolnabrone Dolmen. The dolmen is a kind of portal tomb and is estimated to date back to somewhere between 4200 and 3000 BC. There are around 175 dolmens left around Ireland, and this one is probably the most impressive, not least because of the limestone setting it sits in. Just a few minutes further down the road is the ring fort of Caerconnell. Similarly to the Greenan of Iloch, this is another structure that is well worth a visit. The fort itself is on private land, so you have to book tickets if you want to see it up close, but one of the cool bonuses is the ultra-run sheepdog demonstrations. Next up on the loop is the little village of Carron and the nearby Burren Perfumery. Perfumery is a family-owned business and definitely worth a visit for some gifts for family or friends and to pick up a cup of coffee. The Carron area is also one of the best places in the Burren region to do a walk in this amazing landscape. There is also a little viewpoint on the road between Carron and the nearby Glencolumkilla, so don't forget to drive up there and get some snaps before you head back on the loop. As you take the road back west towards the coastline, you'll pass through the small village of Lamanna, and if castles are your thing, definitely pop by the ruins of Lamanna Castle. A few minutes outside of Lamanna is another Irish Landmark Trust property that we absolutely love, called Inishowen House. It is more suited to larger groups as it sleeps up to 10 people, but it is a super base if you want to explore the Clare coast over several days. Further west along the road is the little town of Kilfenora. In it is the Burren Visitor Centre, so definitely pop in to find out more information about the area. After leaving Kilfenora, follow the signs for Listún Varna and make sure you have your Spotify on to play the eponymous song by Christy Moore. Then take the winding Or 477 road all the way up northwest to the coast. This coast road is one of a kind in terms of views. We recommend stopping at Boher na Hailecha to check out its sea cliffs, Fenor Beach for a walk, swim or surf, and the last stop on the route, Blackhead Lighthouse. And so those are 3 of my favourite scenic drives around Ireland and ones you probably won't see anywhere else. Feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below if you have any questions. If you want more content like this and content focusing on local and authentic businesses around Ireland, the UK and in North America, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out our app today. Thanks and see you next time.